everybody. Welcome to the Brand Blueprint, and we're in Level 10 studio here in the Greatness Factory in Nashville, Tennessee. And when we talk about greatness and content creation, we have to put your girl Nikki in the conversation. She's been on behind the scenes and now in front of the camera, crushing it for a long time. So you're gonna get all the game. Thank you so much, Nikki, for hopping on.
Of course. I'm here for you. I'm here for you and only you and your audience, of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
for sure. So I've been following you for some time and been, inside deeper in the brand, and it just really helped me take my game to the next level in regards to going from 900 followers on Instagram to about 90,000. But I want to take a step back.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, yeah, we had a good run, but it was with your help. So I want to take a step back. How do we get here, Nikki, with so much prolific content that you're making? How did this all start for you?
How much time we got? No, so it actually, I can only thank God on this one because I had no clue what I was supposed to be doing. So I was in the Navy for 9 years, right? And when I got out, I didn't really know what to do. I knew I had this whole, I love tech and I love computers and I love storylines, but I didn't really necessarily put it together. And then I was scrolling on YouTube and I had this guy that was yelling at me every single day. And so for those who do know him, motivational speaker, Dr. Eric Thomas is who I'm speaking about. He was yelling at me, what I feel like, directly to me every single day. I joined his online community and was just serving, right? Trying, clearly this group of people, and this is why online community is so important, where this group of people are all trying to figure things out between entrepreneurship, between purpose. And so I just was serving. I was there every event, driving everywhere with my little Honda from VA to Miami, Atlanta, all these different places, to the point where they just asked, yo, I see you helping everywhere. I see you helping with the content, things like that. Do you want to take over the social media? I said, sure. I'm addicted to it. And the New Yorker that I am, anything that you're addicted to, you kind of flip it to anything. So I took over his social media with the thought process of creating like a fan and creating just the content that the people want. And I grew it from 300K to 2.2 million. And what happened after that was people wanted to know more. Like, how did you do this? What's up with content? Let me know. And it just happened from me being behind the scenes to me just teaching people how to take their ideas to, let's just say, reality and impact and monetization for the world.
Yeah. And there's so many things in there that I want to unpack, and all of the things that you've been able to help Eric with. Obviously, him being prolific, and then with your help, been able to skyrocket things. But you said something that most people would overlook, which is you came in, to serve first, right? You came in to add value, to put your stamp on it, so that he could see, or his team could see, how valuable you were, which that would obviously pay dividends in the future. So where does that come from? Does that come from being in the Navy? Where's the service part come from? Was just leading right with the service first?
Yeah, I have to assume that does come from the Navy, right? We were taught to do every single type of job and just have at least an understanding with asking nothing in return. And so that's kind of how I lead with everything. I don't necessarily move for money. I didn't necessarily get paid for anything for like 2 to 3 years, to be honest with you. And so money is never the motive for me. It is mainly the knowledge, the understanding, and the acceptance for me. How I can leverage that, I'll leverage that. But yeah, it has to be from the Navy.
Yeah, for sure. And I always tell all of my clients, nobody breaks up with a good relationship. And so if you lead with value first, and people see that you're there to help, you're there to serve, that it can take you really, really far. So I guess my question is, where does the love of social media, where does that come from? What's the whole deal with that? Why do you love social media so much?
So it's not that I love social media because social media is a tool. I love free expression. I
Hmm.
love platforms that allow you to be yourself, give different perspectives, show your creativity, show your, your swag, your authenticity in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Now, other people take it as this is a platform that I can create a character or be a certain kind of way. That's them. For me, I look at it, this is the only tool that will allow me to have a global presence. And I don't necessarily take that lightly. Whereas before, we would have to pay so much money to be in commercials and newspapers and radio, where this is now based off who you are, based off the strategy, you can make a global impact and you don't even know all the people that you're impacting. Granted, of course, the revenue that you could bring from your businesses and that whole nine, but I believe once you create impact first, the money comes super easy. So this is why social media is important for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I always say that there's a reason why impact comes before income in a dictionary because you need to make an impact and then you can get the income. So you
Yeah.
spent 2 to 3 years working for Eric, right, without asking or getting paid for a dime and just kind of, soaking up the game, but also helping him, get to the next level. And I can tell you, I got a chance to meet Eric speaking at 8% in Dallas, and that was one of the coolest things. And I almost didn't go because it was like 25 grand for me to go to something like that and just like invest in myself. But that was an opportunity of a lifetime for me. And he always says, don't miss the lifetime of opportunity. Don't miss the opportunity of a lifetime inside the lifetime of the opportunity. And I got
Right.
to sit there front row, but then also got to share stage with him. And then he did a Q&A afterwards. And I just got to see the type of leader, the type of servant leader that he was. And I'm curious on, from that standpoint, what did you pick up that you were able to enhance, learn from you being your own entrepreneur as you went to go out on your own? Like, how does that help you grow your business?
I think looking at how E moves is definitely about relationships, right? Relationships is his core thing, and the people are his core thing. The community. I value community so much, based off how he moves around his own community and the willingness to forever serve, right? And I've seen what that does and how far it got him. Now, could there have been some different tactics that could have gotten him like quicker? Of course. But based off his beliefs, his values, and his core, it has gotten him exactly where he wants to be. And so for me, it created patience because like I'm a New Yorker and I'm a Leo. There's no patience inside of me. I'm Black and Puerto Rican. There's no patience. But to see his journey and to be a part of it, it's really helped me kind of slow things down and look at things from just what everything is on the table and what's more important to the overall impact than necessarily what is the quick buck that we can get at the moment.
Right, right. Okay. So let's talk about social media marketing, content creation. What's some of the most important things you need to understand when it comes to branding, marketing, social media, especially for somebody that's probably watching this that are like, I've been meaning to get on social media. I started my business. I got a mom and pop spot, or I got a laundromat or something like that, and I need to start posting and doing social media, but it just seems overwhelming to me. So, how should somebody get started with using social media properly?
So I think we're in a huge era of personal brands, right? Which then brings traffic to your business and to your company. So what we're seeing lately is more CEOs. If we think about the highest of high, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, the top of the top right now, who have huge companies, but are getting so much traction based off what they post and what they say that instantly brings more traffic to what they have as far as the companies. So I think the first and foremost is understand that you are a brand, right? Then after that, you have to think about what comes natural to you. Meaning, is it video? Is it written? Is it audio? Is it pictures? When we're first starting, we have to figure out our bearings. We have to figure out what works, what doesn't work for us first. Because if we're not cool with us and how we do it, then we can't be consistent. And so this is why a lot of people are not consistent, because they're trying to act the opposite of who they are. So meaning some introverts, if you identify as an introvert, are trying to act as extroverts and being in front of the camera 24/7, and it's not working because that's just not naturally them, right? Same thing with extroverts. Some extroverts are on LinkedIn trying to do a whole bunch of articles, and it's just not them. And so we have to be realistic with who are we, like how can we naturally create, and then what platform really is for us based off our natural. Because not every platform we're supposed to be on. There's one that's supposed to like skyrocket us, and then we could repurpose to be on everything else. But if we don't know the fundamentals, the strategies, the core principles of at least one platform, or grow a team that would know that platform, then we're kind of going all like we're spreading ourselves thin when we're trying to be everywhere. So figure out how you naturally create, who you are, and what platform is going to best fit you for who you are.
Yeah, for sure. And it took me a while to kind of figure out the platform that I wanted to use and the style of content that I wanted to deliver, because I tried to do a bunch of the talking head videos, and you watch something and you kind of jot down some bullet points and try to do those. That was just really, really hard for me to do because it just didn't feel authentic, and it felt like I was kind of repeating some things. So I kind of started, recording coaching calls. I love coaching and using some of that. But then podcasts, I was like, oh man, you can just sit down and have a conversation, and you can kind of take the conversation in many directions, right? You can interview people that are successful like yourself to talk about content creation. So I'm curious, when you're trying to figure out the platform to use, what type of content you want to create, how important is who you're talking to and what you're talking about? Like, how do you figure that out?
So 9 out of 10 times, we're pretty much talking to our old self in some way, shape, or form, right? And we have to look at that. Like, where were we that got us to this solution that we now have? Because all of us that are creating a brand, a business, have a solution of some way, shape, or form. So it's not about coming up with a random audience. It's like, how did we get to this solution? Like, was it because it was missing from our lives, because we went through something, because we saw somebody go through it, one of our family members? Like, there's an experience, whether it's with us or with somebody that we know, that may get us to this point. Even if you went to school and have the degrees and you've learned this particular skill, there was a motivation to learn that particular skill. So we look at that first, right? And then we break down the basic things. We could do that, age, demographics, that whole nine. But when we really look at talking to our audience, it's what do they care about? What are their desires? Is there desires to like save money, make money, save time, be accepted, help in the community? Like, what, there's different desires that our audience wants. What are they searching for, right? What are their biggest pain points? What keeps them up at night? So it's so much more than necessarily what is age range and where are they located. It's really understanding the core person. Best practice is probably even naming somebody that is part of your audience. So not getting so overwhelmed and being like, I'm talking to entrepreneurs that have that are CEOs, small businesses, has about like 5 employees. That's cool. or you could be like, I'm talking to Dave. Now, Dave just started his business probably about a year ago, right? Trying to figure out social media. He's a team of one, right? It's not super extroverted. He can dibble and dabble, but that's not his thing all the way, right? And so it allows you to be more tailored to your content and certain trigger words that they would be like, anybody who associates or it has anything in common with Dave would be like, that's me. I, I'm paying attention to your content. Whereas you may go wide and be like, entrepreneur who uh, wants to make money. Okay, what person, what entrepreneur doesn't want to make money?
Right.
Are you grabbing the right ones, right? So it's important, one, to look back at your experience to see how did you get to this solution in some way, shape, or form, and then breaking down all the details once you figure that out.
Yeah, that's so good because you're just talking about speaking into your younger self, right? And then you're kind of talking about how you learned or how you earned things. So you went out, you did something, you created something, you made something happen, and then you're coming back and you're just kind of sharing it with the world through putting content online, right? And
Yep.
so I've seen you do that a lot, and I've seen your content shift also to where it just went all in on AI. So I'm curious to why you went all in on AI, and I see a lot of things that you're talking about. And then what are some of the tools that you've seen right now that are just mind blowing, that are really good for the industry, for content creation, to make it a lot easier for content creators to put out more content?
So with AI, it's something that saves time, right? And so as a creator, I'm looking for every single type of tool to be able to scale myself better. And so what happened in this past year was all I've been doing is sharing my findings, right? So I would try ChatGPT. I would try Opus Clip. I would try Google Gemini. I would try all these different things and just share my journey. And because people are so curious and it's the brand new thing, AI this, AI that, it just kind of caught on. So my core is still content. And if you break down of what I do talk about when it comes to AI, it's AI tools that has everything to help you with content. I'm not touching productivity. I'm not touching employees and all these different automations and that kind of standpoint. Not touching that. I'm touching what is going to be able to give us our time back, allow us to brainstorm with facts, as well as being able to scale and be present on a more consistent basis. So AI is one of the main reasons why I doubled down on AI, was because of that, right? Now, in my journey, there's hundreds and hundreds of different AI tools. There's some that I just love completely, right? ChatGPT is always going to be the core. This is the start of all the conversations of what we've heard with AI, right? But it's about talking to ChatGPT rather than let me just do a regular prompt. I am this entrepreneur that does this, give me 10 content ideas. No, I'm talking to it. Hey, I need you to ask me certain questions in order to get 10 content ideas for my brand. Let me tell you a little bit about my brand. Let me tell you a little bit about my audience. Can we go back and forth? Can we do a brainstorming session about some content ideas? And then we could probably break it down into different videos, quotes, tweets, that whole nine, right? And so I'm literally talking to it in order to get everything that I want. Things from my newsletter foundation, because I'm not copying and pasting, because if anybody has ever been in ChatGPT, it's not there. It's like, it doesn't sound nothing like us. I don't use none of those words, and I don't use that many emojis. You feel me? Not doing it. So I'll talk to ChatGPT. Cool, I'm creating that. I create long form videos, right? I have a YouTube channel. I've had a podcast. I do lives. So I have long form videos. How do I spend hours editing that? No. I go I go to Opus Clip, which is one of my favorite tools, where it'll take a long form video, allow me to cut it up into 15 to 20 different vertical videos, square videos, horizontal videos, anything from 30 seconds all the way up to 5 minutes, right? So now that's taking care of my Instagram, my TikTok, my YouTube shorts, my Instagram carousels, different clips for YouTube. So now I'm able to scale and save my time from spending hours of looking at these long form videos to now I have that. They have a content scheduler right there. I can schedule out my content. We keep it moving, right?
Right.
Another thing, the third one I'll say is 11 Lab. Actually, I'll say two more. 11 Labs to clone your voice for those people who love to do voiceovers, right? Or they have hundreds and hundreds of different AI voices that you can use where you type what you want, ebook, course, whatever. Type what you want. It says everything inside of your voice, right? So you do that. And then from a graphic side, I would say Dolly 3, which is inside of ChatGPT, or Midjourney. And this is where you take any type of text. You could say a flower growing in the concrete of New York, and it will create that without you necessarily having all the different types of details. Now, more details you have, the better. But it can create at least the idea that you have in your mind to then have it visual, whether you can use that for social media or whether you could take that and give it to a graphic designer to make it even better. So that's just some of them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the reason why I love AI and I love learning from you and watching all the things that you're doing is because AI, it helps you to go from 0 to 1, give you the ideas. It keeps you from having writer's block. It gives you a little bit where it's not just a blank canvas to start from, right? Even if you're just asking it for just random things. But if you can learn how to master the prompts, right? Not just saying, hey, give me 10 lines of this, 10 bullet points to create for a content video on how to make money online, right? But really talking to it, like you said, which is feeding it information. A lot of times what I like to do is I just have an open thread, which is just like analyze this and I'll transcribe videos and put it in there so it can kind of learn my voice and my marketing cadence. And then I'll start talking to it and asking things. And it does pretty good that way, which, again, I don't have to start from scratch when I'm trying to create ideas or content, especially when you're putting out, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 videos a week. But we're in a weird time right now, right? There's some interesting things going on in the market. Where do you see the future of content creation and social media going now that we got this ban with TikTok? How do you think that's going to play? Because now we got the attention wars, which is like, which platform is going to step up? Is TikTok really going to get banned? Which platform is going to step up? Where are people going to go? And then which platform is going to go all in to replace TikTok if that does happen?
See, the TikTok ban is just interesting, just for political reasons. But do I believe TikTok will get banned? I do. I don't think TikTok is going to give up their whole global app to the US, even though the US does have a good stamp of users inside of it. Now, what does this mean for social media? I don't know if it necessarily changes everything. TikTok changed the world when it came to short form videos. They did what they needed to do. Now Instagram has short form, YouTube has short form, LinkedIn is about to have its own video feed of short form. We have still the written situation with X and Threads. I think it's just another platform that the users are just going to go to another one. Now, where they go is going to be between Instagram and YouTube. That's hands down. Even though Facebook is still one of the top platforms, period, everybody from that younger generation is talking about, I'm going to Instagram or I'm going to YouTube. I do believe YouTube is the best route from a longevity standpoint, because you're looking at, if I Google you, your YouTube is going to pop up as far as content, right? Whereas it's harder to find some of the things that you've talked about that you've done if you just focus on, let's say, Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. So you can start there, but you still have to, I still say take your talents to YouTube eventually. But as far as the true future, I don't I don't necessarily see it changing too much in these next, let's say, 2 years. Now, everything could change past that, but I do believe the battle between short forms and long forms is still going to be a thing. I do believe how do we integrate AI in a healthy and safe way is going to be a thing. But I don't necessarily see a huge disruptor of anything just because the ban is happening, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So probably not a bunch is going to change for the average person, right? So if that's the case, then it's really just get good at content creation yourself and just perfect your craft, right? Because again, it's going to be so much competition. The way you're going to stand out is just having prolific content. So I'm curious about some pointers for the average person out here. You know, how much should you be posting? Where should you be posting? Like, what types of content should you be posting if you're trying to build a personal brand? Right? What's a basic, 5-step strategy of things that you should know if you want to get started with trying to build a personal brand on social media, specifically if we're just going to use Instagram?
Right. So, of course, when you're looking at growing, you have to be realistic with what life is doing. All right. I could tell you best practices every single day, 3 times a day, boom, 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 and that's great. But your life doesn't necessarily allow you to do that. Right. Now, granted, there's going to be different motivations of like, no, I'm really taking this serious. And so, bare minimum, right? If you're really trying to grow in a fast pace, it has to be every single day. Right? It has to be. Now, if you have a lifestyle that does not allow you to do this every single day, I'm going to say commit to a plan, right? Like, because if you don't, if what some people tend to do is if I can't post every single day, I'm going to sporadically post and that's it. No, if you're going to post Monday, Friday, Saturday, commit to that, right? Commit to that and make sure the quality of that content is that. So commit to a schedule, right? That's first and foremost. If it's every single day, cool. If it's a couple of times a week, cool. If it is that, all I ask is the following month to up it one. All right. So if you do 4 times a week, can we up it 5 the next month? Can we up it 6 the next month? Right. So we're showing progression to get to the point of true growth. Right. And that clearly depends on the platform because that may not be the same as far as YouTube. Right. YouTube, it could be once a week and then you have several times a week, and that's just perfectly fine. That's consistent. Because here's the thing. Consistency doesn't mean every single day. It is what you commit to and what you say you're going to show up to every single time, right? So figure out that schedule. 2, figure out the end goal at mind, right? Meaning, are you just trying to try to grow for brand perception? Because that's all it is if you're just trying to grow for numbers. Or is it trying to be for revenue? Right? Is it trying to be for impact? What are we doing? Because then we're able to give our content a purpose. Every piece of content needs to have a purpose, whether it is brand awareness, whether it's attention, audience retention, or whether it's conversions. Okay? So we need to understand when we're figuring our strategy, number 2, what is going to be our strategy is, are we in a season of brand awareness? Are we in a season of audience retention? Or are we in a season of conversions? Because when we put that out, we can't expect this piece of content to do everything, right? So some of us will put out something as far as like, I got an event, but still want the views and still want the engagement. But they got the conversions. There was traffic to their website, but it was one of the worst performing posts. Well, there's a purpose for it. So figuring out your strategy of where you are in that season, right? Three, figure out the features that the platform is putting energy to. Meaning, if we're talking about Instagram, Reels is still the number one way to get brand reach, right? To get reach in general. So if Instagram is putting energy to Reels, I have to put energy to Reels as well. Cool, right? If it's YouTube, YouTube Shorts, if it's Facebook, if it's Reel, if it's Threads, it's written stuff. Like, figure out the feature so that there is a sense of I'm always trying to grow. When I am showing up, I'm being intentional with growing, right? So cool. You figure out what the platform wants and then you adjust, right? What's that? Three? What's that? Three? Four. Okay, so four. Understand that your old content is old to you and not to everybody else, right? And so repurposing has to be in your catalog off top, right? So if you've been creating for even 2 months, please repurpose your content. Why? Because you're having new people come in every single time, and you got to stop acting like everybody knows you or they've already seen it. When majority of these algorithms only allow 10% of your followers to see any of your stuff. So it's not a problem to what we've known as reruns for some of our favorite shows. It's not a problem to do a rerun because people may not have seen it or may need a reminder of it, right? So repurposing your content, right? And then the fifth one I'm going to say is have fun. Okay? We tend to take things too serious and we make social media feel like a chore and a task rather than just a tool. And so this is just a platform that is supposed to allow you to be your true authentic self to the world and get audience while you're at it, right? So always still have some fun, test, experiment, be okay with just being who you are because authenticity is rare and that the way you are is truly needed in social media. And the second that you stop having fun with it is the second that you stop growing.
Yeah, that's dope. You just literally gave away all the game right there. That was a masterclass in itself. So if somebody's watching this as we're wrapping up and they're like, man, Nikki was just spitting straight fire, how can they get connected with you? Is there anything that they can consume of yours? Is there any programs, anything that you have that if somebody wants to go deeper with you and learn a little bit more about social media content creation and AI, because you're clearly one of the best in the game and an expert at it. Where can they find you?
Yes. So let me get to know you. You get to know me, right? So you can follow me any social media platform, but I'm highly active on Instagram, YouTube, and Threads, and that's at This Is Nikki's, Nicky with an S, please, thank you. I have a newsletter, Content Corner. I have a live show on YouTube called Content Corner every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern, right? And then if any of this was like, yo, I just need deeper into this, I need the tools now, deeperthanthebrand.com that has all our courses, all our programs, and just become part of the community because we are a bunch of people trying to figure it out when it comes to content and social media, and we grow together, and that's the best part about it.
For sure. Well, Nikki, definitely been an honor and a pleasure to have you on. And for the listeners out there, thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Brand Blueprint. We'll see y'all in the next episode.